Okay, well, welcome everybody for tonight's Power of Peptides call. I am Talia Bateman and I am here with Melissa Gibson or Mel Gibson. And she's going to share her peptide experience with you thus far. I just wanted to kind of open the call and share a little bit about my experience on peptides before passing it to our special guest. I'm so excited to hear her story. Um, I myself have been taking peptides for, I think I'm at 8 or 9 weeks, and they have so far been life-changing. They've actually done everything that I've hoped they would do for my body. I was introduced to peptides, oh gosh, maybe in May, but before May, before really being able to hear about peptides and listen to what people were telling me, I kind of knew about peptides within the last few years. I kind of heard semaglutide floating around, and I kind of knew that that was maybe a peptide. I didn't really know much more than that. And I just never really thought that it was something that I would use. I didn't know if it would ever be for me because I didn't really understand um, the healing and longevity benefits that peptides have to offer. So it was just kind of this thing out there. And in the meantime, my age was creeping up on me. And even though I don't feel 45, like in my mind, my body was feeling 45. I always heard people say, like, when you hit your 40s, everything changes. And I was like, nope, that's not going to happen to me. I'm already on top of my fitness. I work out all the time. I track my macros. I take my vitamins. Like, I'm going to fight it. Like, that's not happening to me. And it's so interesting how these little changes to our bodies are so insidious and they kind of sneak up on us. That's exactly what was happening to me. I was slowly becoming more and more inflamed. And it was, little did I know, it was actually insulin resistance. I thought it was everything else but that. I thought it was, oh, I might be sensitive to gluten, or I'm sensitive to dairy, or, this is just what being in my 40s feels like, I guess. And in February I hit 45, and things seem to be not even maintaining anymore. It's like all of the work I was doing to be healthy just almost started like working against me. And it was just very strange feeling, and I felt really out of control. Like, I don't know what's happening. And I think all of these things kind of fall into place when we're ready to hear them. So if you're listening tonight, this is your sign. Um, and and I had a couple conversations, one with a close family member of mine and with a couple of close friends who had been using peptides, and I decided to finally listen. And what I heard was, wow, these peptides, first of all, there's a peptide for everything. There's a peptide for everything. I mean, you name it, there's a peptide for it. And it kind of clicked in my brain like, oh, this is insulin resistance that my doctor told me would most likely be happening later in life. Um, because I had failed my glucose test all 3 times when I was pregnant. And my doctor said, just be mindful. This is how your body reacts, and you might be dealing with this later in life. And I was putting all the pieces together. So I finally decided to give microdosing a GLP-1 a try. I was really scared. I decided to go with tirzepatide, and I'm so glad that I did because I lost the inflammation almost immediately. I mean, I don't even like to say that because it kind of sounds unbelievable, but I lost 7 pounds of inflammation in a week. Within a few weeks, my joints were not aching anymore, and my body, I felt like I was like getting younger because I the things that used to like be hard weren't hard anymore. Like picking up the weights, gripping the weights, gripping things. And to my surprise, my digestion actually improved tremendously. All of those food sensitivities that I thought I had and that I had played around with for years, gone. Like, it blew my mind So, I have now been able to up my protein goal, and I'm actually in a body recomposition phase, which is really cool because I finally am seeing all of the work that I'm putting in. I'm finally seeing results. Like my body, its performance, and the way that I'm able to build muscle now that I'm not so inflamed actually is matching my efforts. And I cannot tell you what that's doing for my peace of mind. So I started there. I added NAD and glutathione. Like I just keep feeling better and better with peptides. And so I am so excited to share my story. But I'm even more excited to bring guests on that share theirs. I'm on a mission to um, share this with everyone because it's so life-changing, and I feel like this is just the beginning. So I want to take a minute to introduce you to Melissa. Melissa is a military veteran who served in the Air Force and is currently a military spouse. She and her husband have lived all over the world, and have moved 4 times in the last 5 years. Any military spouse can totally relate to that. And it's a lot of big changes there. She's always had a passion for fitness and nutrition, and she studied nutrition and dietetics in college. And she fell in love with CrossFit back in 2017 when her aunt and uncle introduced her to it in California. She and her husband still share a love for CrossFit today. I have mad respect for CrossFit people. It's tough. About 2 years ago, her body suddenly started working against her, and after being dismissed and searching for answers for far too long, she decided to take her health into her own hands. So, through research, she discovered peptides, and within just 11 weeks, her health, energy, and outlook completely changed. And that's what sparked her to share her peptide journey with others. So, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Melissa. If you want to jump in and share your experience on peptides, we are all ears.
Hi, thank you so much for introducing me. I appreciate that. And hi, everyone. Again, Mel Gibson. My story begins a lot like probably many of you have felt or are feeling that your body's working against you. You eat clean, you're checking all the boxes. You eat clean, you work out, but your body's like, nah, girl, we're actually going to gain weight today, is what we're going to do. And that was me too. So about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, I just started not feeling like myself. So I gained almost 60 pounds, even though I was working out and eating pretty healthy, 80-20 rule. And, I've been an avid CrossFitter since 2017, like Talia said, and I love lifting heavy, but I just felt like I was getting weaker and weaker as the months passed. And another thing too is my anxiety and stress were through the roof for absolutely no reason. And the list of symptoms just continued. So I had brain fog, no energy, constant joint pain, inflammation. I did not feel like myself. And then the little cherry on top of that Sunday was we moved to Florida about a year ago, and all of a sudden out of nowhere I became allergic to the sun. So like 10 minutes outside, boom, I would have a rash that was horrible. And I was like, awesome, I'm turning into a fat vampire now, so that's great. And I didn't know what to do. So if any of that sounds familiar, like your body's betraying you, just know that you're not alone. It does happen to us, especially as we get older. So I did what any of us would do, and I went to my doctor. So I went to my regular primary care physician, and she did test my hormones. My testosterone was a little low, and she's like, that just happens as we age. And then also to my vitamin D was low, and she told me to just go outside and get more sunlight, even though I was in her office because I had a sun allergy. So that that was awesome. And then last, I did tell her that, I think I'm going through perimenopause or could be. And she dismissed me and said that I was too young for that, even though now we know that perimenopause can start at the age of 35. And the one thing she did do was send me to a rheumatologist. And I was like, finally, I'm going to get my answers. Like, here we go. I'm going to get my answers. I'm going to get my answers. So he did a ton of blood work, and my blood work was a horror story. So it showed my autoimmune, um, a ton of autoimmune issues. I had a lot of inflammation. I had abnormal T cells. Just, it was not looking good. And I was like, okay, finally, we can work this. And he sat me down in the office and was like, just don't eat processed foods. And I'm like, wow, that was profound. I would have never thought about that. So honestly, that was in late March. And I would say that was the moment that I was like, traditional medicine is just not going to work for me. Like, I'm not going to get my answers. And I felt dismissed. And that was my aha moment to do my own research and to take my health into my own hands, because no one knows your body like you. So then I started doing my research. And, if any of you, if you were on the fence about GLP-1s or are on the fence about peptides in general, I was right there with you. I used to be very vocal about never putting like anything like Ozempic into my body. I thought it was Big Pharma's ploy to, make us sicker. And I thought it was the easy way out, or just a shortcut that was going to um, come back around to kind of bite us, right? But then I was completely wrong about that. And I will admit I was 100% wrong. And when I did my research and I started reading like peer reviews and everything like that, um, I came to the conclusion, I started thinking, and I was like, peptides might actually be the answer that I need. Like, these things are, they can be magic tools. They're not a magic fix all, but they could be a tool that I could use, right? Or you could use for, autoimmune issues or whatever. And then finally, what kind of tipped it for me is I saw a girl on Instagram say that she microdosed a GLP-1 for her autoimmune issues. And that's when I was like, I have nothing left to lose at this point. Like, I have nowhere else to go. I might as well just try it. So I tried it. And I made a promise to myself that if I was going to invest the money, because I think we all know that peptides aren't necessarily the cheapest, but if I was going to invest the money, then I was going to do it right. Like, I was going to, track my food. I was going to train consistently, make sure my sleep was good, the whole shebang. And within weeks, I've only been doing this for 11 weeks, but within weeks, my inflammation dropped, my knees stopped hurting and aching. I felt like I could actually gain muscle again. I was excited to go to the gym. And most importantly, the food noise, the constant chatter that you have in your head of like, I want Krispy Kreme donuts. That was completely gone, which makes it easier to track your food and hit your macros and not deviate from that. Um, and I just ultimately I started feeling so much better, and I was just lighter, brighter, and happier. And I felt like my happiness came back. And as crazy as it sounds, there are studies out there that show that GLP-1s, even microdosing, can lower the inflammation even in your brain. And I feel like my anxiety, my stress, that brain fog has just lifted. It's just gone now. Um, and I will tell you, my only regret with peptides, especially with GLP-1, because I know that people can form certain opinions and they can have bad raps, but my only regret is that I didn't start sooner. That's my one regret, is that I did not start sooner. And so after researching, and also too, another thing is that, the side effects that people talk about when everyone's like, you're going to lose your vision, your teeth are going to rot. The best part is I got no side effects, zero side effects, because I dose so low of what my body needs that I don't have the nausea. I don't have the hair loss, because I'm feeding my body with the nutrition it needs. So that's that's the best part about it. And I think that's something that, a lot of people don't realize, is that you don't have to have those side effects, right, to get the benefits of peptides. So after that, after I started researching peptides and started them, I became obsessed. I know Steph knows this, but I tell everyone, I'm like, I am on the peptide train. So I am absolutely obsessed with peptides. My family knows too. I talk about it all the time. So, but after my GLP-1, then I was like, what else can I stack with it? So then I looked into the growth hormone peptides, and I stacked sermorelin with it. Sermorelin, is a growth hormone peptide. It is not growth hormone, but it just stimulates your body to say, hey, girl, we need to make a little bit more growth hormone. And it's amazing with the GLP-1 because it helps with sleep and recovery and also hormone balance, which, if you're over the age of 35, I think that we can all agree that we need all the help we can get with hormone balance. So, and and that one, so I love my sermorelin. And then also on top of that, I am doing BPC 157, which stands for, body protection compound, which is exactly what it says. It's a healing peptide, is what people like to call it. And I have golfer's elbow pretty bad in my left elbow. And within just a couple of weeks, it really lowered the pain where I could still do my movements in the gym. But my biggest win on BPC 157 is actually not for me, it's for my mom. So she had a tendon issue in her leg for over a year. And earlier this year, it was so bad. She couldn't even walk upstairs. She couldn't work out. She could barely even drive her car without like almost crying and being in tears with pain. And with just a few weeks of her injecting BPC 157, she has no pain. So she is able to, she goes to the gym every morning. She does CrossFit. So, yeah, she's a 63-year-old CrossFitter. And, we've been doing, she does box jumps and snatches and wall balls, and she has absolutely no pain. So that is my biggest win, BPC. I consider myself the guinea pig for my family. And so as soon as they saw me do peptides, then I try to get them all on peptides besides my husband. But, and then lastly, the whole family, we all do NAD plus. So NAD plus, I think, is just a great all around peptide. It's a mitochondrial peptide. It's basically you're charging your battery from a cellular level. And I think this is great because, I was expecting when I injected NAD plus to have this like jolt of energy, but I was really surprised because you don't have a jolt of energy right away. Instead, you have just steady energy all day long, like knocking off my to-do list left and right. There's no afternoon slump grabbing caffeine because you need it. There's none of that. It's just you are focused all day long and you have that steady energy, which is what I love. And also, too, I think NAD plus is a great peptide to start a stack. Like if you're doing a GLP-1, you can add NAD plus. But also, too, if anyone's like, kind of curious about peptides, but they just kind of like dip their toe in the pool of peptides, NAD plus I think is a great one to start with as well. It's just an awesome all-around peptide. So I love that one. And then, from here, so I've been doing those peptides for about 11 weeks. And I will cycle on and off, and do what I need to do as far as cycling goes. But from here, I think that I will probably cycle in even more peptides. Like you, Talia, I want to start glutathione, see what that one will do for me. And then also tesamorelin, ipamorelin blend. I'm really excited for that one with the two GHRH and the GHRP to see, how they work synergistically together. So I'm a total nerd when it comes to peptides. So I love the science behind it and everything. So for me, in GLP-1s, everyone asks about GLP-1s as far as, are you going to be on it forever? Do you have to be on it forever? For me right now, I'm at such a low dose that I can make my supply last 6 months. So really for me, it's pretty cost effective. And for making it make me feel the way I do, absolutely. I plan on being on it for a little while, just because I love the way it makes me feel. And I know people can say that peptides are really expensive, and they can't afford it. But when you really break it down, the 3 month supply, we'll go with the microdose of a GLP-1. Uh, and that's probably one of the more expensive ones, I would say. So if you break it down, that's for a 3 month supply, that's like $9 a day. And then for me, I can extend that out 6 months. So really that's less than $5 a day. And I know everyone says like, oh, that's less than a cup of coffee, but it is. And I mean, that's less than some bank fees that they charge you. So for me and my health, like I will absolutely pay $5 a day for feeling the way I do now because I feel so much better. I feel like I'm in my 20s again. I feel like I'm out of that fog that I've been in for the last 2 years. And it's all because of peptides and my hard work as well. And I think we can all agree that peptides aren't just a magic fix, right? Like they don't do everything for you. You still have to work out and eat healthy and do all the things that you need to do, but they just are a great boost to optimize your health. And honestly, I tell people all the time, like, what's the cost of staying stuck? Because for me, that's an investment into my health, and peptides have changed my life in a matter of weeks. So I'll continue to tell people about them. And, you know, I think that, and I will say that, I mean, Steph knows me. Steph Flynn knows me. She's known me for some years now. And, I'm not one to just jump on a trend or a fad or anything like that. I wouldn't have come on this call and talked about, peptides or talk about peptides if I truly didn't believe in them and was passionate about them. And I am, I'm very passionate about peptides. Like I said, my entire family knows. I could talk about it all day long. They hear it all day long. And I wholeheartedly believe in them and what they can do for not only, me and you, but for our society in as a whole. So we're in metabolic decline and fast, our insulin levels and things like that. So I think that they are a great tool to help us. And it's all about playing the game with the right tools. So, if you've been doing everything right and you're still not seeing results, I can say to people, or I tell people sometimes, maybe it's not necessarily your effort, maybe it's your biology. And that's where peptides can come in and help. And they're a step below. And that's the thing for me, that's why I loved peptides. They're a step below hormone replacement therapy. So, with hormone replacement therapy, your body stops producing those hormones. But with peptides, it's just a little messenger to say, hey, we need to produce more of that. And your body actually produces more of it. And that's why I turned to peptides. And that's why I love peptides, because, they've been studied for decades. They've been put in practice for decades. There's biohackers that have been doing GLP-1s and, growth hormone peptides for over 20 plus years. So, if anyone wants to talk peptides or the science behind them, what they can do, how to cycle, they want to join my peptide posse. I am always down for that, because I love geeking out on peptides just because they've helped me so much. They've helped my mom quite a bit so far. And even though my husband can only take NAD plus right now, even with that, he's seen quite a bit of a difference, and he's excited to retire out of the military and start his peptide journey. So, but yeah, that's my story, and that's why I'm here. And again, I'm very passionate about peptides and what they can do for us.
Mm, thank you so much for sharing all that. And it's only been 11 weeks.
Yeah, only 11 weeks. That's it. So, and I've dropped almost 40 pounds in 11 weeks. So, and it really wasn't the weight loss that I was really looking for. I just wanted to get rid of my inflammation and make my knees feel better in the gym when I was squatting and doing those things. So,
Mhm.
and I can go out in the sun just a little bit longer now. So, that's what I was really looking for. But the weight loss was just, a happy side effect.
Absolutely. The cherry on top, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
definitely.
quality of life. I mean, what we're putting into our bodies every day is the most important decision. And peptides are, yeah, such an important tool, like you said. They're not the answer. They're a tool to find the answer. So thank you so much for sharing all of that. Like I had so many like things I wanted to write down, so I'm going to go back and watch the recording. And I encourage you all to share the recording too with people who have questions. Um, the more knowledge is power. I mean, there's so many people out there that don't know what they don't know. So that's kind of my mission is I'm going to be loud about this because I've already seen it change other people's lives that are very close to me and very important to me. And now I'm feeling it for myself. So, thanks for being on this mission with me, Melissa, and everybody else on this call. And a little bit about LA peptides. I mean, I always tell people in 2 years, you guys, it's not going to be which peptides are you taking? It's going to be where are you getting your peptides? That's important. So you want to be really careful, like anything out there, right? Like I've been in the supplement industry for 10 years. it matters what the quality of products you put in your body. So the difference between LE peptides and other peptides out there are has prescription grade triple purified peptides. So they go through a purification process and they are prescribed to you through a medical provider who reviews all of your medical information and gives you the right dosing for your body. And all of our peptides go through 503A compounding pharmacies. So they are like the top of the top. The FDA is regulating all of those and making sure that we are getting the best quality products for our bodies. So I'm just going to encourage you guys, reach out to the person who prompted you to watch this, who sent you the recording, and reach out to us if you have any questions about peptides, because on the next call, it could be you sharing your story of how you feel amazing and peptides have changed your life. So, thank you for everyone, to everyone who hopped on live, and I hope you all have a great night, and I'll see you on the next Power Peptides call.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.